こんにちは、ペドロです。日本語を勉強している皆さん、日本語ができるようになるには4つのスキルを身につける必要がありますよね。それは聞いて理解するスキル、読んで理解するスキル、話すスキル、そして書くスキルです。全部が難しいですが、特に書くことが難しいですよね。でも、今の時代に本当に書くスキルが必要なのかと思う人もいるかもしれません。それでも日本語書けるようになりたいと思う人もいると思います。僕の場合、書く練習をただの勉強ではなく、実際の生活に取り入れることで書く自信がつきました。この動画では僕の15年の経験をもとにどうやって書くスキルを身につけたかをお話しします。Okay, speaking in English from here. Japanese learners, do we really need to be able to learn how to write in Japanese? The conclusion is that no, we don't need. A Japanese person maybe has no choice. If they want to write, if they want to make notes, they have to do it in Japanese, but us, we can always use our native language. By the way, you may be wondering how natives deal with kanji when writing them, and I will talk in more detail about that later. But I remember a very specific situation that happened with me while here in Japan, and I will share that later. But yeah, when I decided that I wanted to learn Japanese, I also decided that I wanted to master all the four skills, which is listening, reading, speaking, and writing. I do agree that out of the four skills, writing is the least important of them, and it's the one that you should spend less time developing. But if you, like me, want to be able to write in Japanese better, I will share a daily habit that doesn't take much time and has significantly improved my Japanese writing skills. But what about you? Do you write, or would you like to be able to write in Japanese? Let me know in the comments. As I said, my goal was to be good in writing in Japanese. But the problem is that in order to be able to write in Japanese fluidly, you need to have thousands of characters memorized. And my frustration was that I knew kanji, I knew the elements, radicals, whatever you call them, that make them up, but I just couldn't recall them from memory. For example, this kanji, which forms the word utagao, which means to doubt, is made of 4 elements. These ones. And while I know how to write them, usually I would not remember that these are the elements of utagao if writing from memory. My only option would be to check my phone to see the kanji and then finally write it. That's very counterproductive indeed. But what about natives? What do natives do if they can't remember a particular kanji when writing? I'll talk about that in a minute, but first I want to explain how writing is done in Japanese. The Japanese use 2 alphabets, hiragana, katakana, and kanji, the Chinese characters derived from China, and a common Japanese text we have a combination of these, like this one. Ari, this is katakana, ga, hiragana, chi, sai. So this is a kanji and 2 hiragana, which makes everything really difficult. Does that mean that if I want to write, I need to be able to remember how to write 2,000 characters from memory? No, not at all. You write as much as you can, and you can use hiragana in case you don't remember a particular kanji. And indeed, natives also resort to hiragana when they forget particular kanji. There's this situation that I can remember right after I came to Japan. I was not very confident with my speaking yet, so a person from the lab that I came to do my master's, went with me to the office to ask for the necessary documents that I needed for some application. I cannot remember the details now, but there, the person of the office was telling the person assisting me the documents needed, and one of them was a letter of recommendation, which in Japanese is called a suisenjo. And she just couldn't remember how to write this second kanji, the sen. So she just wrote it like this, suisenjo, with the sen in hiragana. And you might think, if so, why not just use hiragana for everything instead of using kanji? And in a minute, I will show you a famous tongue twister in Japanese that also highlights the importance of kanji for reading comprehension. But yeah, it's true. Kids, before they learn kanji, Japanese kids, they will write in hiragana. And beginners at Japanese also write in hiragana. But here is the tongue twister as an example. This is an extreme example, of course, and it's quite famous. 汽車のシャワー、汽車で車しました。Very hard to grasp and read using only hiragana, but in kanji the meaning becomes very clear. 車のシャワー、車で車しました。Which means basically your company's reporter went back to office by train or steam train. I'm totally fine not remembering every single kanji that I want to write, but I just want to strive for a balance between memory and assistance, like checking my phone or just writing hiragana. That obviously requires practice, but practice just for the sake of practice is useless, and that's why I decided to start journaling. It's something I've always wanted to try, and it has totally changed how I approach writing Japanese in every situation. I will tell you exactly what's changed in a minute, because you might be wondering, how do I journal? How long does it take every day? And here it is. This is the journal, the diary that I used. I got it here in Japan. It's a 10-year diary, and each page covers 10 years for each day, which means that you don't write that much per day, right? In this case, it's only 3 lines per day. And I chose it because 3 lines per day is not overwhelming and I can consistently write. And indeed, I started this journal in 2020 and now 2024, so I'm entering my 5th year and I have written every day. Actually, I don't write the journal only in Japanese. I write it in 3 languages. I write it in Portuguese, which is my native language, in English, and also Japanese. And what has changed in regard to Japanese is that at the beginning I really dreaded the Japanese days because it took so much more time than the other languages. But as time passed and I could feel my improvement, now I actually look forward to the Japanese days. First, because now I'm really confident at writing. I don't need to check my phone that frequently when writing anymore. And also because writing in Japanese saves so much space because you can put more information in less space. Because of this, even when writing random notes, I choose Japanese sometimes if I wanted to keep it shorter. In the last part of the video, I will show you an actual entry from my diary, something that I have never shown anyone before. But before that, there's something that I must say about stroke order, the order in which you write kanji, and that is that I don't care so much about it. I will show you an example later of why I think so. But don't get me wrong, I understand that they are extremely important, especially if you are learning how to write them for the first time, or if you are doing shodo, Japanese calligraphy. But it's just that it's okay if you write them a little bit off sometimes. Even Japanese natives write it wrong depending on the kanji. And you don't need to overstress about it. Remember that the point of communication is to get your point across. So if 1 year from now I can read and understand what I wrote for me, then that means mission accomplished. Okay, now to the example. For example, there's this kanji which means difference or wrong depending on the context, using in this word 違い or 違う. I always wrote it like this. And turns out this stroke order is wrong. I will show you the correct stroke order now. Can you spot the difference? The way I used to write was like this, but the correct stroke order is this one, starting with this vertical stroke here. But if you look at both kanji that I wrote, they don't really look that different, right? Which means you don't need to overstress over stroke order. Now it's time to show you my diary. I'm a little reluctant to show it to you because I've never shown it to anyone, and even though I said that I am confident at writing Japanese, that doesn't mean that I'm confident at writing beautifully. But yeah, take a look at it. I will show you an entry from May 5th this year when I went on a little trip by myself. So this is my diary, and this is my entry for May 5th this year. I'm gonna read it to you. せっかくのゴールデンウィークだったからちょっと遠くへ出かけてみたかった。ということで敦賀まで行くことにした。新しい新幹線の駅も見たかったし、ちょうどよかった。ヨーロッパ圏でカツ丼も食べて40分ぐらい並んだ。街歩きもして松原公園のところで日系アメリカ人に声かけられて、帰りの電車も京都駅の不審物見つかったせいで90分も遅れたし大変だった。Well, basically, I just talk about, because it was Golden Week where I had a long holiday, I wanted to go on a little trip by myself, so I went to this place called Tsuruga where a new Shinkansen has just opened, the new stations for the Hokuriku Shinkansen. And there's this famous place for katsudon there called Yoropaken, and I went there for lunch and I had to wait for 40 minutes, queue for 40 minutes, and after that I walked around, and when I went to this park called Matsubara, there was this Asian American that started talking to me, and after that I went back home, and in the train was late because something suspicious was found in Kyoto station, so all trains stopped for over 90 minutes, and yeah, that's basically my day for May 5th, and that's how I write my diary. I do want to improve my handwriting in Japanese. I even got this textbook, in which you can practice writing in Japanese, you see. But I got it 2 years ago and I never got to use it. Maybe another time. But yeah, what about you? Do you journal? How do you do it? And would you like to be able to journal in Japanese? Let me know in the comments. In the next video, I will talk about what it means to be fluent in Japanese, with tips on how to achieve that level based on my experience living in Japan for over 10 years. So if you are interested in that, subscribe for more. And if you thought this video was nice, give me a like, give me a comment. You can ask questions. I'll be very happy to answer them. And I hope I can see you in the next video. Mata ne!